Hello everyone. I never thought I would get to this stage, to the point of reaching out on the internet for advice. Yet here we are. My wife and I have been married for 8 years, but have been together for 10. We met in college and were each other's first and only love. Because of it, I honestly felt we had a unique and lovely connection. But it seems that was just me. My wife just started working at a new firm. At first, she struggled to fit in since she was always been quiet. But with my assistance, she became friends with a group of girls. Some of them were single, divorced, or dating but not married. I was delighted that she made friends at first, but then she began going out for drinks, partying, or whatever her pals had planned. I grew worried about her shift in behavior and attempted to speak to her about it. But I didn't want to limit her in any way since it was affecting our connection in the bedroom. My wife was not the kind of initiate intimacy, but with her constant going out, she was either too exhausted or not in the mood. At some time, her firm hired a new manager, whom my wife and her friends admired. She started mentioning him in passing, but it came to the point where she was pointing out how he handled specific difficulties that didn't appear to be job-related. I questioned her about her affair with this guy, and she dismissed my worry. She even asked whether I regretted not having more experience with women, to which I replied that she was all I ever needed. I swear I saw a flicker of melancholy in her eyes for a split second, but she swiftly changed the conversation. When she mentioned open marriages as a method to spice up our marriage, I was taken aback since my wife was never sort of this person. To be honest, was not that liberal sexually. I first rejected and questioned if this had anything to do with the new boss, to which she denied that, but said she felt missed out but didn't want to lose me. So this was a safer alternative. I cautioned her that she was playing with fire, and she consented grudgingly and naively. So we established certain rules, mostly not sleeping with another person in our house for a year, and my wife goes on dates, has one-night stands, and then, as if I didn't see it coming, is in some sort of relationship with that manager. I, on the other hand, had a few dates but no one-night stands since it seemed weird to me, and my wife would ask if I was okay but would not modify her behavior. At some time, I realized that the love I had for her, the pure magical innocence of marriage, had faded, and it was hurting me on the inside. I ended myself out on a date with a wonderful lady who had moved over from South Korea. Conversation was easy. She had the wit of a lightning wig right crack and a smile that made one forget yourself. This, of course, led to additional dates until we were intimate. I honestly had never experienced sex like I had with this lady. I had no idea how a woman could be so giving and make one feel so wanted. My wife thought it was sweet at first, but as the months passed, she started to doubt my connection with lover. I quickly pointed out that this was her idea, and she too was in a relationship with the manager I was worried about. She was deafeningly quiet, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't. She started coming home early to surprise me with supper and have the house extra clean, so she started dropping me my lunch and at my workplace and began to instigate intimacy in the bedroom. All of this would have made me happy if it hadn't been to her opening up our marriage, which I am also to fault to for consenting to. I only gave in to her efforts at closeness when it was absolutely necessary. Something in me died for my wife, and I could tell she felt it as well. When I asked that what had changed in her, what was different, her answer was that she wanted to show me that she loves me and is content with me. I didn't want to, but I broke out laughing when I inquired her about a small circle of pals, her manager's partner, and her one-night hookups. She didn't answer that day, instead crying herself to sleep. I get home the following day to find her waiting for me. She informed me she wants to end the marriage, that the entire thing was a terrible mistake, that she regrets everything, and that she wants us to be focus of our relationship once again. I told her honestly I told her to be honest with me and tell me what sparked of us all this in the first place. And wouldn't you know it? It was her group of friends who planted the idea due to their numerous sexual exploits. And when her manager came around, he surprisingly supported that lifestyle and encouraged my wife to live freely. Apparently, it began as an emotional affair but only became physical after the marriage was established. Well, that makes it better. She compared it to being intoxicated behind the wheel of a fast automobile. It was wonderful and intoxicating, but the cost of this choice has grown too much for her to bear. She realizes now that she didn't need a comparison, that what we had was genuinely unique and precious. But she feels as if she killed our marriage and any possibility of a life together. I told her I may never see her as my wife again, which caused her to cry in front of me. I just held her in silence as she wept till she fell asleep in my arms on the sofa. She has now quit her job and cut contact with all of her friends and her boss, and she has even told me she is prepared to spend the rest of her life making amends to me and working her fingers to the bone in order to be considered a wife by me. But I haven't broken communication with my lover. My partner, quite honestly, makes me feel like a man, as if I can take on the world in the way that my wife hasn't in a long time. The truth is that I'm at a loss for what to do in this case. If at all possible, I would want to reclaim the wonderful sensation, but my boyfriend literally rescued me when I was at my lowest. Please assist me. The therapist was kind and knowledgeable. She appeared objective and willing to assist. Even though it was our first session, my wife seemed to take advantage of the chance to lay it all out. She said that this circle of friends made her question whether she lost her opportunity since she was devoted to her first partner and had no other experiences, and that she had never had the same adventures as some of these supposedly amazing ladies. Remember that some of them are divorced, but none of them are married. Because of the difference in thinking, the therapist pointed out that this may and frequently is destructive to a marriage. My wife appeared to concur, then added that when the new manager approached her, several of her friends pushed her to see where it goes, that this was an opportunity for her to explore or discover herself. She clearly felt bad, she claims, so she never did anything physical until one of the divorce proposed an open marriage as a loophole and informed her that some couples come out stronger as a result. So after reluctantly, according to her, persuading me to open up the marriage, her so-called journey started. It was heady and bright, but it lacked genuine substance. Not the type we had established over the years, and she began to doubt why she was doing this. She claimed that she could see the pain in my eyes, but she convinced herself it was an adventure. She says she will never forgive herself on this. An opportunity to have an extraordinary experience, so the seriousness of it all didn't hit her until she observed a difference in me. She imagined that I went on dates, I would gradually accept her condition. But that all changed when my partner became a constant presence in my journey. Apparently, I began to grin again for no apparent reason, and my eyes would light up when I received a text message or gleefully departed the room to answer the phone call. She said she felt a pit in her stomach and began having little panic episodes for no apparent cause. She went back to her friends for advice, but they said it was a normal reaction for me to have during the adventure. But when the same divorced one who suggested it in the first place said, "It looks like his lover makes him happy," the reality of it all finally dawned on her, and the very real possibility that another woman, rather than his wife, gave him joy nearly made her pass out. She recognized how ludicrous everything was and asked them to assist her in winning me back. But they just reminded her that if she couldn't cope with it, why had she opened her marriage in the first place? She saw right away that these individuals were poisonous and a danger to our marriage and the life we have established. So she's been on a mission to reclaim us by any means necessary. I, on the other hand, didn't say much. But I did tell the counselor about my problem with my boyfriend still there, to which the counselor replied that no resolution could ever be found with my lover still around, and that we scheduled another meeting after tomorrow. The counselor did mention that it was uncommon for someone to remain with her first for this long, and she gave the idea that any storm could be weathered. I assume she wants us to be one of her success stories. Sorry for the length, but I decided I should provide a complete update. I still haven't found out how to connect posts, and I would want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who has contacted me. I regret for not being able to respond to each and every one of you, whether inbox or on the post. Anyway, here's the latest update. Thank you all again for your help. It's been like a Jerry Springer episode. I've since moved to an apartment owned by my brother for a stupidly low amount. He owns properties and would have let me stay for free, but I declined. Just a taste of what I've discovered regarding my wife's conduct and some concerning information about her boss. During our second counseling session, I asked some of the questions that several Redditors had. 1. If she was certain that nothing physical had occurred prior to the start of the marriage. She looked to the ground and begged me not to make her say anything, saying that if she did, it would kill us, but after some prodding, she revealed that it wasn't physical, but they touched themselves in front of each other. This jerk told her that while it wasn't physical, kind of, it wasn't cheating, and that they were merely admiring one another's full beauty. I was really taken back by this, and she began trembling and hyperventilating, snot streaming from her nose as she wept and apologized to me. Even the counselor was taken aback and had a look incredulity at this point, so my wife dropped down on her knees and embraced my legs, apologizing. 2nd, I then asked her what had altered her opinion of him. She said that once she began withdrawing from the group as a whole, his conduct toward her altered, and that one evening, as she was leaving a meeting, she passed his office and overheard him discussing her with another male colleague. He had surprised at how easy it was to get her, and how she was leaving proof that you can't trust the quiet ones. When a colleague asked if he liked her, he replied that she was a pleasant distraction, and that he had no intention of breaking up with his fiancée. He even went on to say that he was doing it only to get it out of his system, since the one lady who has ever understood him was his fiancée, and he didn't want to break up with her. He also said how sorry he was for me, but you snooze, you lose. My wife's realization that she was nothing more than a piece of meat to this guy, along with the fact that she deceived me for a cheap pleasure, drove her suicidal at the time. She said that she left her workplace and parked in the parking lot, and that her first thoughts were, "What have I done?" and "My name, please forgive me. I'm so sorry." 3rd, I then asked her whether she still loved him and when she quit loving me. She looked me in the eyes through tears and said she never stopped loving me, which makes it harder, and that he was simply something else. She believed it was love but now understands how naive she was. She clutched my arm and unexpected vigor, saying she realizes she screwed up, but she misses us and the connection we had before all of this. And she even offered we move away and start again, just the two of us, like it was supposed to be. I then informed her that it would be unfair to my boyfriend and that I needed time away from her to absorb everything. It was as if she had a nervous breakdown at those comments, as she began weeping louder and mumbling unintelligible things. She clutched me as if I were about to vanish, and it took both myself and the counselor some time to calm her down. The counselor persuaded her that maybe time apart would help us recover. Now, I wish I could stop this report with just this, but as I started packing, my wife received a video call from her laptop, and it was one of her old pals in tears. It turns out that after my wife resigned, this friend and the manager began a fling in their own, but she had a pregnancy scare, which caused him to basically turn into Dr. Jekyll. And to make matters worse, she had a boyfriend with whom she apparently saw a future, and the only reason she even had a fling was because she was curious of the experience. Funny how that seems to be a trend. Her partner learned the information after seeing an email between the two discussing the probable pregnancy, but the manager accused her of baby trapping him. Of course, he left her, and the reason she contacted me was because she thought my wife had saved our marriage and was frantically seeking guidance. I just turned and went, and I've been in a flat ever since. Third update, my wife's wild conduct and how it altered us. Update 3, some things that have transpired so far and my choice going ahead. First and first, thank you to everyone who took the time to contact out and provide either good advice, your own comparable life experience, or just an ear for me to complain. Well, a lot has occurred. The old friend who had the pregnancy scare was really pregnant, but the stress of losing her partner and being humiliated by the affair led her to miscarry the child, and she essentially went full scorched earth on the manager. She introduced him to everyone in senior management as well as his fiancé. I managed to discover his fiancé on Facebook because I was interested, and she was literally the poster child for pretty small town girl. According to her profile, she is special needs teacher. She's a special needs teacher who is a homebody and is extremely family oriented. What the hell is he doing messing around with other women when he's got her at home? Was my initial thinking. One of life's biggest mysteries is why my guys like him wind up with women like her. The former friend contacted me. She wanted my version of events since she was gathering evidence against him. But she wanted to do it in person. She had her COVID test as I did, and I consented. I know she was shattered the instant I saw her face. The heavy bags beneath her eyes and her red iris plainly revealed she hadn't had enough sleep and was tortured by her own thoughts. She thanked me for agreeing to see her and instantly apologized for her involvement in my wife's experience. Turns out, she and my wife talked again after she found out I had moved out. She didn't blame ship and wanted to accept responsibility, which is why she wanted to meet in person. I complimented her for her efforts, but wondered why she went this far. She claims that losing both the kid and the love of her life altered her basic identity. She claims that she can't look in the mirror without feeling disgusted, and she can't sleep because all she sees is her ex's face the day he found out. This lady plainly despises herself, and this encounter may have been her punishment. She informs me that since fraternizing among co-workers in a violation of conduct, and especially became he was in a position of power, he will most likely be dismissed and potentially banned from that profession as a whole, but she accepts that the same may be true for her as well. She apologized again and departed after hearing my side of the tale. I wanted to collect a few items from the previous apartment, so I went when I thought my wife wouldn't be home. She was there, but what astonished me was that she had most of our wedding photographs out on the coffee table, as well as others, and she was gazing at them. When she saw me, she started weeping and wanted to embrace me, but I gently pulled her away. She offered me lunch, but I told her I wasn't hungry and that I wouldn't stay long since I just needed a few items. Before I could continue, she said she needed to show me something. She took out her phone and showed me a message she got 2 days earlier from her old boss, who berated her. It was from a new number, since she had blocked his previous one. Evidently, my wife has assisted her former buddy in exposing him to all relevant parties, and he was enraged. She claimed to have gotten the idea from Trump Lady and Marriage Builder, and she believed that by revealing the secret, she was decreasing its influence while also giving us a fighting chance. I told her that I was delighted that she had the bravery to do that, but it didn't alter anything between us. I also told her that I would discontinue marital therapy and instead focus on individual counseling. This caused her to sob gently, and she expressed her understanding. I know, and I should be elated by the steps done or enraged that it took this long, but I feel numb towards her. This is natural, which is why I wanted to address it in individual therapy rather than marital counseling. I also saw a divorce lawyer on the advice of my brother just to be cautious. Right now, I am not prepared to fight for my marriage, but it seems that my wife senses it. Before I left, she attempted to start intimacy, but when I refused, she started and said, "What does my lover do to me that she can't? What does my lover do for me that she can't? What does she, the lover, give me and the wife can't?" Whatever it was I wanted, she, the wife, would do it. She added in a voice so loud that I'm sure the neighbors heard it. I shook my head and told her that if she couldn't tell after all of that is transpired, it was apparent where our marriage was heading and left. Your wife is now seeing the repercussion of her conduct. The sad reality is that she would do everything to go back in time and avoid making the mistakes. But things don't work that way. Maybe she can figure herself out, become a better spouse, but it won't be with you since she has already burnt this existence down. You can be certain that she will always remember you and regret what she did. That is more than many of us received from our missteps.